Welcome back to Eliances Heroes, where heroes in business align. To be part of our super community and find out more about Eliances, visit www.Eliances.com. Now, back to our super host, David Kogan, founder of Eliances.
Hi, that's right. We're just continuing unlocking secrets of these heroes, starting off with the original data doctor operating in 14 states. We just had on the co-founder of Sandbox, impacting over 60 million children. Later on, we're going to have Take Control self-defense expert. That's right, TakeControlSelfDefense.com. And before we get started with our next hero, too, thank you for the feedback we continue to have from having the CEO of the American Diabetes Association, who also attended our last grand table and is part of Eliances. So make sure you go to Eliances.com. That's Eliances.com, because it is the only place where entrepreneurs align. Well, our next hero, boy, has she had an extensive political background, working with no less than the President Clinton as assistant to the president and director of White House political affairs. Talk about pressure and excitement. And we have with us Minyon Moore. She is now the CEO of Dewey Square Group and can be reached at deweysquare.com. All right, Minyon, please tell us, how did you get a start in government and a political career? Did you always want to go down that path?
Well, David, thank you so much for having me on. I am so excited about this because I love your mission, and I love the fact that you try to align business with doing good. I think the way I got started was the same premise of your show. I really wanted to figure out how I could help people and what was it that I could do in the area of service. And so I started volunteering a lot in my hometown, which is Chicago. So I volunteered at a hospital. I volunteered at a center for disabled children. I volunteered at Operation Push, and I think when I got to Operation Push, there was something that was calling me towards, the empowerment of communities, and so I started working for Harold Washington's very historic campaign as a young person, and I think that's where it really took off. In Chicago for Harold Washington, and then I ended up working on Reverend Jackson's 1988 campaign, and from there I went to the Democratic National Committee, and the rest is history. I ended up at the White House.
But that's huge. I mean, you were the CEO of the Democratic National Committee. That is huge. What was it like when you were like, okay, first day, now I've got it, now what? What is the feeling like?
Well, it's interesting because that was my second tour duty, because when I left the DNC to go to the White House, I was the political director. So I knew something about the building, and I also knew what it was capable of doing. So when I first walked in the door, it was, new staff, but for the most part, the mission was the same. So there was a general sense of I've been here before, and now all I have to do is accomplish something at this level. And so my first order of business was obviously to go around, meet the staff, make sure I knew who everybody was, make sure they knew who I was, and, I wanted them to understand I had an open-door policy and, want to set the tone, because at the time, Terry McAuliffe, the former governor of Virginia, he was the chair. So we were the new team coming in, and, there are people that, that kind of roll over. So you want to make sure that they understand that you don't have two heads on you. You're not the horn, you're not the devil. So you want to make sure that they understand we appreciate the work that you're doing. There might be some changes, but it doesn't automatically affect you. And so that's kind of where we started, just getting familiar with the new team.
I love it. Any secrets in the White House that you could share with us that are just kind of unique, or something unique that someone just wouldn't really know per se unless they spent some time in the White House? Because, I mean, what the most historic building in the United States?
Well, I found that the thing that interested people the most was, especially when I invited them on a personal level, was the what we call the White House mess. And that is really the dining room where you can have lunch. But the thing that's so unique about it is it's served by the military. It's the Navy. The Navy I wouldn't say own, but the Navy operates the dining room of the White House. And it's wonderful to see these gentlemen and sometimes ladies, first of all, they're great cooks, but then they're in uniform. So you're always reminded of the service that they give to our country. very even at that level. And I think that's just a little tidbit that people just don't know, that our military is ever present no matter where, they're just not in combat. They're always serving, and they serve in different ways for the President of the United States.
Absolutely phenomenal. And you're listening to me, David Kogan, host of the Eliances Hero Show. Make sure you go to Eliances.com, Eliances.com, because we have Minyon Moore. She is the CEO of Dewey Square Group. In fact, you could reach her at DeweySquare.com. Of course, we'll have the link on our website at Eliances.com. All right, Minyon, tell us about the role at Dewey Square.
Well, our firm is a public relations firm, and our motto, of course, is we like to, while we like to certainly make sure we can pay our bills, we also pride ourselves in being, I would say, good public servants. So we are always attached to doing projects that we think will help, advance humanity and do good in the community. But we are a classic public service company. We work on issues from, crisis communications, regular communications. We do grassroots organizing for some corporations and nonprofits. We also use our skills to help build infrastructures for corporations. We do a lot of work around diversity and inclusion, and so it's a fun company. It's own. The parent company is WPP, but our company itself is still we'd like to call it a boutique company, where we can still be very personal and hands-on with our clients, and we just have a great time. We have great people. I've actually been here since I left the White House. I've been here almost 16 years, and so that's a lot of time for a firm, especially a consulting firm, but it's, the people you work with that makes the firm.
Let me ask you, too, is if there was anything that you could change in politics now, right, with that magic wand and stuff, if there was one thing, you were granted one wish, what would that be?
I would say if I could change anything about politics, I would say if we could be a little bit more compassionate and understanding about each other's differences. Because I think that is the thing that keeps us so far apart, just the differences. And, I think politics sometimes doesn't lend itself towards being able to be kind, which I think it's an admirable trait, and I love it. But I think if that magic wand was in my hand, I'd say, please just stop for a minute and understand the other person's point of view.
Because I got to tell you, right, with politics, that is the most touchy subject that possibly exists. Whether people are on the same side, opposite side. In fact, I even hate even saying sides, right? Whatever that is, it's like that's at least here the most in the U.S., the most touchy subject. Other places it may be religion, other places different things, but it's like in the U.S. it is just such a touchy thing. Any thoughts on that?
Well, when I first got into politics, I actually felt the same way, David. I felt like, it's a rough combat sport. People don't get along. They're always tearing each other down. Why would I want to even get myself involved in that? But then I thought to myself, well, first of all, just because you're in it doesn't mean you have to be of it. And you can bring your same value system and your same sensibility to whatever profession you're in. And so that's what I chose to do. If you're an integrous person, then you're going to be an integrous person no matter what. If you're honest, you're going to be honest. And I tried to use my light to shine it in a different way. And I hope that, if you'd ever talk to somebody that has worked with me in politics, that they've seen that light, because it is sometimes you need the light to shine in dark places, which which politics often do. I tell you, I've just gotten off this book tour not too long ago, and one of the things that fascinated me about the book tour is this. There's a yearning out there to get involved in public service, and people are forgetting how to get involved in public service. And I don't know if that's the fault of politicians or leaders or even myself. I'll even blame myself. But especially the young people, they just want to help. And that's mainly what attracts people to politics. How can they serve? How can they get involved? How can they get involved to make their communities better? And we got to get back to some of those basics and fundamentals, but we need everybody. We can't all be the same. So if you feel like politics is a dirty contact sport and you're different, then bring your differentness to the table, because I think that if you are convincing enough and if you are credible enough, you're going to change minds and you're going to change hearts. And I hope on some small level I've been able to do that just by saying who I am and not trying to be in the middle of tearing somebody down or making somebody feel bad about what they believe in.
That's phenomenal advice. That's right. Absolutely. Well, Minyon, you've led both at the government and political forefront and continue to work with emerging companies, helping them to create brand awareness and building coalitions with state, local, public policy in mind. That's right. Can't we just all get along? Well, we can with Minyon Moore. That's right. Go to Deweysquare.com. And this is David Kogan with Eliances.